Good afternoon, everybody. On this Friday the 13th, 2025, I have all of your stories for your rush hour ride home. And hopefully you're not driving home from work. Maybe you have summer Fridays. Maybe you're on a really late walk of shame or stride of pride. I'm looking at you, Carol. I see what's going on out there. Do what you got to do. Live your life. Either way, regardless of where you're going or where you're leaving from or hiding from, I'm here for you. And in this episode, we've got the Traitors cast reveal. We'll cover that, plus the lone survivor from seat 11A on the real tragic story of the Indian plane. We'll hear from him as he's been interviewed. He's a miracle. And then more on Justin Baldoni. We hear from one of our PR pals and what they think is the reason why mainstream media may not be supporting him anytime soon. And then, of course, Iran's response to Israel's attack on their nuclear facilities. They also wiped out top scientists in the nuclear development program they have there. What does this mean? Is the U.S. getting sucked into a World War III? Am I even saying this out loud? What a wild day. What a wild time to be alive. And then more on the immigration issues, the protests, and the deportations going on in our country. Wild time to be alive. We're going to cover all these stories and more starting right now on The Rush. I wanted to actually throw in a breaking news story as we continue to cover things that actually matter, and I know this isn't really one of them, but we have a breaking news story coming in right now. Grant from The Bachelor has just released a statement. This is one of the harder things I've had to write, but I want to share it honestly. Juliana and I have decided to end our relationship. We both gave this our best and poured a lot of love into each other. But after a lot of deep conversations, we've come to the understanding we're simply not the right fit long term. Listen, join the club, right? Katie Bigger just got married to Zach Cross, and they said, see, Bachelor relationships do work out until they don't. So either way, he says, thanks for the journey. Thanks for people who support us. No negativity, no resentment. Yeah, look, you met on a dating show where you got to date for a few weeks, you bang in a yurt, and then you try to make your best choice. It didn't work out. Move on. That's okay. I get it. No hard feelings. You can join the long list of failed Bachelor relationships. You should really get like a trophy or like a t-shirt. Like, I was on The Bachelor and it failed. Either way, let's get to other stories that actually matter. I'll tell you what, it's a tight needle to thread covering Traitors and Travis Kelce's mom, and then covering a potential World War III. There's a lot of content to get to. We're going to warm you up to the difficult stuff. As always, I try to give you the lighter news up front if you don't have the bandwidth or capacity to handle the world's issues. But I promise you, I'm not going to try to sell you on fear. I'm just going to tell you what I think is happening based on my 40 years on this spinning rock as I've tried to figure it out myself. Not going to get it all right. I'll tell you who hasn't gotten it all right is Colton Underwood. That's for sure. But he's on the cast of The Traitors Season 4. Now, as you might remember, my channel initially took off. My first viral video was exposing Colton Underwood as he was received a restraining order from his then ex-girlfriend, Cassie Randolph. He put a tracker under the trunk of her car, and he created a fake person who fake stalked him. I mean, it was a real crazy story, and yet somehow he's still in Hollywood. I don't get it. He went from being The Bachelor to Coming Out Colton, or whatever the hell his Netflix show was. So again, falling up the ladder as it were, but he's still here and he's doing his thing. So I guess people would say, hey, hasn't the man suffered enough? I don't know. Why don't you ask his ex Cassie? So we've got him on Traitors, and talk about a traitor. And then we got Travis Kelce's mom. I hope I'm never famous enough where my mom gets a reality show. I'm sorry. If I find out that Connie is on a reality show, I'm going to be so embarrassed. Mom, don't you dare. Do whatever you want. Live your life. I'm kidding. But that's where that's at. So interesting stuff, this upcoming season of The Traitors. All right, let's go into this sole survivor situation. It's a tragic story. The Indian jet that crashed, several hundred people died, but one man didn't just survive. He literally walked out of the plane. Now, people already have conspiracy theories. There must be more to this story, which, again, hogwash without any information provided. Can't a miracle still exist? The wild part is he wasn't even supposed to be sitting in the seat that he was sitting in when he survived, seat 11A. But I tell you what, if you're flying Southwest, you better be getting Group A boarding because you're going to want to sit in that seat. So here we have, and again, the audio's not fantastic as we hear over here from DD India as we listen to his interview. Have a listen to this.
The lone survivor who miraculously survived this fatal air crash is with us, is undergoing treatment at the civil hospital in Ahmedabad. What was the situation yesterday? Can you describe for us, please?
I can't explain. Everything happened in my eye. I can't.
How did you manage to escape?
I just
Did you pull the emergency doors?
no. Emergency door is broken.
Yeah.
My seat is broken.
By the way, not a good look if the emergency escape is broken. But I guess if your flight goes down like this, it's going to happen. But I'm going to need a replication of what went down. Did he crawl out of the ceiling? Was the plane open like lost? Like was the wing ripped off? We really have no idea yet.
Then I see the pace little bit.
Yeah.
Then I will try to come out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why.
So, did the aircraft catch fire before you came out?
Yes.
Okay.
A little bit fire. After me, I'm out. Then blast.
So, did anybody help you, or you after that you came out on your own? How did you jump from the aircraft?
I'm not jumping.
Okay.
I just walk out.
Okay.
Then ambulance coming in.
You did walk out on the building or
No, in floor.
on the floor?
Yes. Inside the aeroplane.
All right, so he's not a great interview. She's like, how did you do it? He's like, I walked off the thing. I don't know. I mean, literally, you hear those stories of like, well, when there was only one set of footprints, that was Jesus carrying me. But it's like, I don't know who he prays to, but keep on doing whatever you're doing. And again, as tragic as it is that there are so many lives that were lost, I think this just goes to show with humanity, we root for survival. I've always said this before, right? You're going to see so many examples where the world tries to divide us on this border, this color skin, that language, this gender, that ideology. They're going to try to divide us. But I tell you what, when I used to live in New York, I always use the subway as an example. If you had a crowded subway and if one person was about to fall, you didn't check their passport before you tried to help them back up. Humans want to help humans. We love stories of survival. Even if there's so much tragedy and wreckage, we root for those moments of hope. And we need to hang on to moments of hope like that and kind of tap into what's within us and push away all of that fear, that hateful rhetoric, all those things that are meant to divide us. And just remember, we're all trying to survive. And our bodies go into, and I hate to use the term autopilot here, but our bodies go into autopilot. He's like, I don't know what I just walked off the thing. It was blowing up behind me. I'm alive. I don't get it. And I'm sure there will be what's called survivor's remorse. But either way, I hope to hear more from this guy. Let's move it on. Let's go to Justin Baldoni. We'll cover Baldoni, Blake Lively. Here we have our good friend Ashley Brianna Eve explaining why she thinks we're not going to see too much coverage from mainstream media in support of Justin Baldoni. Have a listen to this.
I'm just going to say it. Mainstream media is going to be very afraid of taking Justin's side in this, especially with Blake pushing Darvo and Me Too and all these like clickbaity, trendy headlines. I actually think it was smart that Justin Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Freeman, went to TMZ and Megyn Kelly. I know there's been a lot of concerns within the Justin Baldoni camp where people are thinking that he's not going to legacy media, so we're not going to move more people over to his side, or it might give a certain vibe if he's speaking to TMZ and Megyn Kelly. My background's in branding and marketing with a particular interest in narrative control and reputation management. Not one legacy media platform has given Justin Baldoni or Brian Freeman any inkling that they would actually get a fair shot and unbiased interview.
So this is what's interesting, right? When I was one of the lone people covering Bachelor Clayton Echard, we knew that his accuser, Laura Owens, faked pregnancy. We saw the evidence. We knew she faked multiple pregnancies, ultrasounds, this, that, and the other. We found out she faked ovarian cancer. Everything. She faked it. Probably orgasms, everything. Just fake, right? We knew that. And yet I couldn't get anyone to cover it. And I was trying to get anybody because I was getting threatened with a $100 million lawsuit. You might be annoyed to hear me continue to tell the story. But the point is, it's like, it wasn't up to me who covered the case. Charlie Kirk was the only person who would really interview Clayton Echard. Now, Charlie Kirk, I believe, is kind of a wackadoodle. I think he's one of those types that would rather divide us on sort of very specific moral grounds than find things that can unite us. That's what I believe from him. I think he kind of plays plays into that base that wants to slam and dunk on people versus bring us all together. But what's interesting is, of course, he interviewed Clayton Echard probably because he could be like, see, women lie. That was his angle. Where I've always said everyone, people can lie and you can treat people on an individual basis. But we almost had Megyn Kelly covering it. She ended up not going with the story, but we wanted anyone to, because when it came down to it, I didn't have an ideology. I needed somebody to cover that story to cover my own ass, and I didn't care about whatever cultural or political divides were out there, because when it comes down to it, I got to put food on the table for my family, right? And to think of Brian Friedman and saying, well, why is he going on TMZ? Why is he going on Megyn Kelly? Because they're the only people that are answering the phone. That's why. You don't think he'd be going on 2020 if they would interview him right now? And sadly, it's because mainstream media, they don't want to tackle the nuance of a conversation where the male might be the victim here. They don't want to tackle those conversations. I don't think there's a greater conspiracy in the mainstream media. I just think it's one of those, do I really want to go there? It's kind of how I feel about covering like Harvey Weinstein. I'm like, or Diddy. It's like, I don't even want to go there. I'll work on something else. And that's kind of the problem that exists with the media is the media gets to choose what stories they cover. That's why the scraps are picked up by content creators who are like, no, we'll take this story on because we have more of a spine than mainstream. Because mainstream, they're just trying to defend and protect themselves and protect their bottom line. They have all these advertisers. There's just certain topics. They're like, nah, that's not for us. That's why I love what we do, because we can cover entertainment news, politics, and everything in between, and people can stick around. And I know my audience can be, available for that conversation. There's so many political channels that don't want to have a conversation about something that might be sort of culturally taboo. And then there's all these entertainment news channels that don't want to jump into politics. But when the push comes to shove, if you're sitting down with your friends at dinner, your family, you have conversations about all these things. These are all topics that you may talk about at the water cooler. So we're here to cover it, but fascinating stuff by Ashley Brown and Eve to say, look, it's not necessarily Brian Friedman who's turning down these interviews. He's just taking what he can get. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the different things that may be leading up to, I hate to say it, a World War III. And I don't mean this to put fear into people. It's just these are the times. We'll have that next. Today's podcast is sponsored by Ancient Nutrition. For over 1,000 years, explorers the world over searched for and told tales of a mythical fountain said to restore one's youth and cure anything. Newsflash, it was never found. But hey, we do have collagen. While it's not a miracle, it is proven to be pretty darn good at helping you look and feel younger and more healthy. What's the best collagen, you ask? Well, it's made by Ancient Nutrition, of course. This formula is powered by clinically studied ingredients that promote fat loss and healthy weight management, as well as building lean muscle. Collagen can also reduce joint discomfort and improve the look and growth of your skin, hair, and nails. You know me, I'm a hair guy. Turning 40, I'm fighting father time. One scoop in the morning with a smoothie, that's all it takes. Right now, Ancient Nutrition is offering 25% off your first order when you go to ancientnutrition.com/rush hour. That's ancientnutrition.com/rush hour for 25% off your first order. ancientnutrition.com/rush hour. And you might be saying, Dave, what are you talking about World War III? Are you kidding me? Well, it's like, look, we have Israel and Iran clearly exchanging blows. Russia has invaded Ukraine for several years now. Don't you think Putin might use this chance to do a full-on escalation with greater power, and put his own people through a meat grinder to take over? I mean, these folks are nuts. They all got lead poisoning for wanting to start these wars. You know what I mean? Like I said before, I'll be the guy playing the violin as this Titanic goes down. We'll be here. It's like, no, we refuse to be baited into these wars. But people are saying, again, Israel, the reason why they bombed these Iranian sites, the nuclear sites, the top military officials, the nuclear scientists, the reason they did that is proactively because Iran is about to get the chance to do a nuke on them. Now, that may be true, but for 20 years they've said that. Oh, Iran's 1 month away, 1 week away, and it's like, Maybe now it's true, but that's what the boy cried wolf is all about, right? So we're gonna break this down the best way we can as the news is still developing.
War between Iran and Israel would leave both of them absolutely decimated, devastated, and in ruins, as well as the region around them. That's how serious it is. And regardless of who is left standing on the battlefield, that is a loss for everyone, including Iran and including Israel.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild out there. They're literally, Iran has literally immediately responded to Israel. They've sent, I guess they're reporting 100 drones to Israel. Now, Israel has their Iron Dome. They're shooting them down. Other countries are shooting these drones down. But, you know, whether Iran responds today, tomorrow, or in 10 years, I just feel horrible for the innocent lives that have to live in fear, knowing at any moment there could be a mass casualty event.
The spokesperson of the army also announced that they've detected the launch of 100 drones from Iran to Israel.
And these aren't your stepdad's drones you use to take a few photos of your neighbor's pool, right? These are high-powered planes.
Those drones expected to arrive in the coming hours, and it's not clear if that will be the initial Iranian response, if it will just be limited to drones. But for now, Israelis staying close to shelters and waiting for more instructions from the Home Command. Well, the Israeli Prime Minister is really communicating with the world. He knows that attacking Iran is a point of consensus in Israeli politics. He heard almost immediately from the factions of the opposition, congratulating the army, praising the attack, saying that the public was behind it and that they would stand tall and steadfast. But he is preparing the Israeli public for the long haul, telling them that they will be in shelters or near them for some time, for at least 2 weeks. And the Israeli media is already talking about a dramatic increase in the purchase of basic goods by ordinary Israelis who are trying to prepare for that because a state of emergency has been declared.
And like she said, ordinary Israelis, these are ordinary people, many of which are also, there are plenty that are also dual American citizens. And I don't know if innocent lives have asked for this. And again, you might say, David, it's way deeper than that. Iran saying death to Israel, death to America for a long time. I totally understand. I don't have enough information to even have much of an opinion on this right now. But I will say this. There's a reason why people have said, look, no more wars. No more of these, military wanting us to get into wars. And you might say, Dave, what are you talking about? We have nothing to do with this. And we'll get into what our own president has said about that. But it doesn't look like we are innocent in the escalation of this whatsoever.
Why now in terms of these attacks, and how significant were these strikes?
Well, why now? Because Iran was going to be dispersing its centrifuge capability, its enrichment capability, and its bomb-making capability. And Israel felt that it had only weeks to stop Iran. Of course, a nuclear-armed Iran would be a danger not only to Israel, but also to the United States, to our allies and partners in the region. And Israel felt they had to act now.
Now, he says a conditional statement. A nuclear-armed Iran would be a danger. Do they have nukes? And I think we reserve the right to ask these questions after we led ourselves into the previous wars looking for weapons of mass destruction. So I think, and again, Obama, right, had a program that they agreed to with Iran where they could enrich enough nuclear material to power their plants for energy and research and things like that. That was ripped up. That was torn up by Trump, right? First term, gets in office. Anything Obama did, get rid of it. Just like he got rid of Biden's CHIPS Act, which was bringing manufacturing jobs back to our country. So Trump runs on this idea. We're going to have no World War III's under me. If Kamala goes in, it's going to be, Biden's going to destroy the thing. And of course, we had, a great economy, obviously issues with the economy following the pandemic. But as far as GDP goes, lowering inflation, things like that, we're trending in the right direction. We're 100 days in. We've got Marines in Los Angeles, the National Guard being called in different states, and we have a parade happening tomorrow. Make it make sense.
Now, but of course, we don't know yet how successful it was. We know that Israel damaged Natanz, the multi-level centrifuge hall where Iran was spinning centrifuges and building bomb material. But we don't know whether Israel gained access to Fordo, that deep underground bunker where we believe, the United States believes, and Israel believes that Iran was also building nuclear capability.
All right, just prove it. Just show, if we're going to be a part of a war, show us that they were building nuclear bombs, not nuclear capabilities. I don't want to know if they're just making enough for their utility companies, but show us the math there. So again, we already covered the story about their breaking news. The drones are being coming out. But so Marco Rubio says this immediately last night. Tonight, Israel took unilateral actions against Iran. We are not involved in strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. Israel advised us that they believe this action was necessary for its self-defense. President Trump and the administration have taken all necessary steps to protect our forces and remain in close contact with our regional partners. Let me be clear. Iran should not target U.S. interests or personnel. Now, Iran had previously said, if you come after our nuclear sites, we will target Israel and the U.S. So Iran already told us what they were going to do. We were like, bet. So that's where we stood. Now we get the response from Donald Trump. So Marco Rubio says, we're not involved. Leave us alone. And of course, Trump is driving the getaway car. I gave Iran chance after chance to make a deal. I told them in the strongest of words to just do it. But no matter how hard they tried, no matter how close they got, they just couldn't get it done. I told them it would be much worse than anything they know, anticipated, or were told that the United States makes the best and most lethal military equipment anywhere in the world, by far, and that Israel has a lot of it, with much more to come. And they know how to use it. Certain Iranian hardliners spoke bravely, but they didn't know what was about to happen. They are all dead now, capital D-E-A-D, dead. And it will only get worse. There has already been great death and destruction, but there is still time to make this slaughter, with the next already planned attacks being even more brutal, come to an end. Iran must make a deal before there is nothing left and save what was once known as the Iranian Empire. No more death, no more destruction. Just do it before it is too late. God bless you all. Donald J. Trump. Now, is this part of the art of the deal? Threatening massive war? Gosh, I didn't read the book. Was this in chapter 7? Hold on. Do I have the book? I actually had a transcript. Art of the deal. Threatened to start a nuclear war. Oh, if they don't agree, World War III. Got it. Okay, cool. Nice. That's good to know. That's what we all signed up for. And then there's his statement. So that's where we stand. That's where we stand. Now, if you're Iran, are you going to now want to negotiate with Trump? Here's the problem. When you have new presidents that come in and change, core ideology that we used to have, it leads to a big problem. And it leads into our story of immigration. It really does. Because here we have an interpreter for Afghanistan. He helped the United States. Now imagine, really break down the interpreters. They can't go back, right? They can't go back to the country they came from because they were helping the United States. They will be literally murdered within minutes. Their families kidnapped, rounded up. It's a dangerous place. The only reason they would help us in the first place is if we were like, hey, help us, interpret your language so we can help the war that we're here, the regime change, we're setting up democracy, this, that, and the other. Help us. You can come back to the United States. You can live in some cul-de-sac in Kansas City. You can go to the Chiefs game. You can watch Donna Kelsey on the next season of Traitors. You can be a gosh dang American. Trump gets into office. Stephen Miller, old Baldilocks, wants to deport 3,000 people a day. He starts coming after, wait, what is this? Interpreters? Literal heroes that helped our soldiers survive? Make it make sense. Watch this video. The guy explains, I was an interpreter for Afghanistan for 3 years.
What's your name?
They ask him his name.
What's your name?
They say,
You don't have his name. You're not entitled to his name.
I work with the U.S. military back in my home country. I have all the documents. I didn't have a credible fear interview. I work with the U.S. military. I was interpreter. I work with the U.S. military.
Do you have a warrant for his?
It's so sad that he just keeps repeating the same thing. I work for the U.S. military. I'm an interpreter. First of all, most people in our country can't speak a second language, all right? Let alone, it's just like, this guy's probably smarter than most of us. He really is. They didn't pluck this guy off the street. Probably a really smart guy. I don't know anything about him. And they're asking, do you have a warrant for this?
Yes, we do.
Why don't you write
Provide the warrant.
And they say, yes, we do have a warrant for his arrest. They didn't even know what his name was.
Provide the warrant.
I work with the U.S. military. Just tell to them.
You can come with us, sir. You can
Provide the warrant.
You can come with us.
You don't have a warrant.
I work with the U.S. military back in my home country, Afghanistan. See, this is my situation.
Can I see his warrant? Yes, I'll show it to you in the elevator.
Can I see the warrant? Yeah, I'll show it to you in the elevator. F*** you. Get out of here with this. ICE grabs a man whose name they don't even know at his immigration hearing, shackles him, expedites his removal. Asked for? Is this what you wanted? Is this the big bad America we all aspired to pay our taxes to fund this experiment called democracy? Get out of here with this. You know, on Fridays, we like to end the episode by telling our boss to go fuck themselves, but I'm going to just go ahead and say it. ICE can go fuck themselves. That's it for me. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bonus content coming to you tomorrow. Be safe out there. Be kind. Spread that love. And let's all remember what side we're on in this whole thing. We'll see you later. I'm Dave. This is The Rush.